This week on Motor Week, Richard Hammond admits the shame of being seen reporting on the Nissan Micra, the Honda that is neither Japanese nor British, the latest news on the Escort replacement, the Ford Focus, and tyre technology investigated by Howard Stableford.
Okay, let's just say I didn't make any plans to go cruising or posing in the Micra, all right? I mean, image-wise, for me, the Micra generally rests somewhere between tartan slippers and sweaters with animals on them. Personally, I've never really had the slightest interest in how well they actually go or stop, and that's for two simple reasons. Number one, I wouldn't be found dead in one, and number two, they're only ever driven by old people with straw hats and golf umbrellas velcroed onto the parcel shelf. But this one, I think, really is cute. It's the nose, it's sort of wrinkled. The nostrils, they're kind of a bit flary, really. It's cute, but not in a stuffed koala or some cloying, bug-eyed cartoon character kind of way. It's more like the cuteness of a puppy when it growls at you. It's got just a little bit of attitude. Nissan's designers have taken the previous Bambi look of the last Micra, and they've armed it with a pop gun and a snarl. Now that, to me, really is cute. External changes are actually quite minimal. There's a completely new bonnet and a new grille at the front. The side strips with this broken line are new, not entirely sure about those. At each of the four corners there's one of these strips which do serve to visually widen the car, and there's new rear tail lamps as well. But for our little fun-sized cutester, it's under its little skinny winny where most of the changes have taken place. And straight away, this feels like a proper car in here. The dashboard is proper. There's no silly instrument pod sat up on top. It's all smoothly integrated. There's nothing tinny or tacky about it. It's really quite grown up as the interior of a car. The seats are comfortable. They're a bit firm, but not uncomfortable. There's only one problem, and that's with the driving position. There's no adjustment at all on the height of the driver's seat. And the adjustment of the steering wheel is very minimal and just for height, which means the very, very small people are going to have a bit of trouble getting very comfortable in here, which is quite ironic, really, in what is, after all, a very small car. The version before this version of the Micra, if you remember the sort of squared-off biscuit tin one, was so ghastly that subsequent generations of the car must have wondered how they could ever overcome the dreadfulness of their forebears. In fact, a couple of years or so ago, the newly redesigned Micra must have tripped merrily into the limelight, all cutesy curves and cheeky looks, only to discover that most of us were still reeling from the shock of their ancestors' tatty, shabby, tinny nastiness. And anyway, I didn't actually like the last car in its own right, even without its embarrassing family history. For me, it was just too cute, too cuddly, too noddy. For what is, after all, very much a city car, once you're out on the open road, it behaves itself reasonably well. The steering's actually quite sharp, but the brakes are a bit numb. They do let it down, and I must say that through the bends there is quite a lot of body roll. That's only if you push it, and I suppose who's ever going to be too cruel to such a little cutie? It wouldn't be right. It also can start to feel a little bit cramped in the cabin, particularly when you think about what it's up against, the likes of Renault's Clio and a Volkswagen's Polo. And after a while, particularly in town, you do start to feel a little bit perched, a little bit on display. It all becomes, well, frankly, rather worryingly noddy land. Nissan say that they've simplified the usual complicated system of trim levels and options, and they've done this by offering 3 levels. So there's Equation, GX and SI. Everybody gets driver's airbag, body-coloured bumpers, tinted glass and a rear wipe. Then features such as electric windows, a rear spoiler, remote control central locking become available later on as options on the GX and SI versions. So having chosen your trim level, you then choose your option from 7 option packs, such as the City Pack, which gives power-assisted steering and central locking to the entry-level Equation for £645. Or you might choose, for instance, the Audio Pack, that features a 10-disc CD auto changer for £350, and so on. We're the Safety Pack, there's Air Conditioning Pack, Sports Pack and a Comfort Pack. Though I haven't yet found the Hooligan Pack, which would include a V8 engine and luminous paint. Shame, really. But then it gets complicated again, because the SI is only available as a 3-door. But you can get a GX and upgrade it with the Sports Pack, and that includes the SI trim. So that would be the SI alloy wheels, the rev counter, and basically you kind of build your own SI. So what's happened is, basically you've ended up with a complicated system of trim levels and options, really. Just as a final point of interest, the NCVT, or Nissan Continuously Variable Transmission, is, if you like, a modern interpretation of the old Variamatic system. The ones with a series of funny cones and rubber bands that used to make your car feel a bit like driving a vacuum cleaner. Well, the good news is the modern system works well. It's a stepless transmission. It puts the power down very effectively. But there is one downside, and that is that if you floor it to move away from a standstill, the revs immediately rise to a peak. The rest of the car catches up with it in time, and it makes a noise not at all dissimilar to the tortuous clutch-burning starts favoured by the old people with the straw hats on the parcel shelf and the umbrella who used to buy the previous version of the Micra. Funny that, really, when you think about it.
Now this is the all-new Honda Accord Coupe. Now as soon as I mention the word Honda, you probably think of this as a Japanese car. If you're a Honda owner or you happen to live near Swindon, well, you might think it's a Japanese car built in a British plant because that's where their factory is. But you'd be wrong on both counts. It's neither a Japanese car nor is it a British assembled Japanese car. This is a purely American car from the wheels up. It was designed in Los Angeles and it's built in their Marysville, Ohio factory. And I have to say, as one who thinks that the last model Prelude looked a bit like a Ferrari, I'm not convinced the stylists have got this one right. Now I have a confession to make because I'm already prejudiced about Honda. Many years ago we bought a Honda Executive 3-door off the Honda press office, and that car ran reliably for 75,000 miles. Only two things went wrong with it. We put it through a car wash twice with the electric aerial up. So you don't need to convince me about Honda build quality and reliability. Now, it's important to say that this is not a modification or a facelift of an existing Accord model. It's in fact a completely new car. It's longer, it's wider, and it's lower than the European Accord 4 and 5-door models. It's got a new 5-link double wishbone independent rear suspension, which, when combined with the renowned Honda 4-link front suspension, double wishbone again, gives almost sort of racing car design suspension and maintains Honda's tradition for fine handling cars. When I heard this one was built in the States, I was a bit worried that the Americans would have given it a boulevard ride, but this is still very sharp, good turn-in, very predictable. This is the 2-litre version of the Accord Coupe. There's also a 3-litre V6. This 2-litre is the Honda's well-known VTEC, that's variable valve timing. It means the engine is a complete split personality. Up to about 4,000 revs, it's soft and quiet and would suit your granny. Over 4,000 revs, turns into a screamer and goes howling round the rev counter till it runs up against the ignition rev limiter at around about 6,500 to 7,000 revs. But throughout that, it's very smooth. It's got twin balancer shafts. Honda suggests that's something new, but I think Dr. Lanchester invented them in round about 1906. This car is fitted with a 5-speed manual gearbox, though I suspect most buyers are going to go for the 4-speed automatic. I get fed up with manuals in today's heavy traffic conditions, that I have to say this cable-operated gear shift with what Honda describe as twin cone synchromesh on second is very sweet to operate. It's well finished in here, nice wood trim and leather. They've obviously learned something from the Rover Association. It wasn't all one-way traffic. Lots of toys, excellent cruise control that I find myself using more and more on the motorways, electric mirrors, windows, seats, you name it, good in-car entertainment and powerful air conditioning with automatic climate control. Lots of leg, elbow and shoulder room in here, and the sunroof doesn't seem to cut down on headroom either. Oh, and a wonderful little container for your sunglasses. For a coupe, there's a pretty decent boot. The seats fold down with a 60-40 split if you've got a long load. And there's a very useful luggage net to stop small objects flying around in the boot. Getting into and out of a two-door coupe is never the most elegant of exercises, but the seat slides a long way forward, so it's not too dramatic. And in fact, there's a decent seat in here instead of the usual shelf for legless dwarfs. And I'm particularly pleased to see 3 proper sets of seat belts in the back. That's a big plus point. So a nice, light, easy car to drive, good performance from the 2-litre and bags more performance from the 3-litre. But somehow there's something missing. It's a bit soulless, if you know what I mean. £21,000, I think, for instance, the Peugeot 406 Coupe is a far more involving car. And I can't help thinking they've gone backwards from the styling of the old model Prelude. Now, to my mind, this is a surefire future classic.
After the break, Howard Stableford gets some respect for those funny black things we hardly ever think about, and Ford reveal more facts about their Escort eventual replacement, the Focus. This is the Ford Focus, which will eventually replace the best-selling Escort. Ford's research told them that customers wanted a car that was distinctive to look at and expressive. Well, Ford's new edge design came up with the Focus, using taut lines and crisp surfacing, a sort of a generated machined look that is a natural progression following on from Car, Puma and Cougar. All 4 models are similar from nose to end, but are designed to be clearly recognizable as a Ford, and each has a distinct and separate personality to appeal to different target customers and lifestyles.
Well, I think if you look at the car, one of the most exciting features is the design. It's the latest evolution of our new edge philosophy, and I think it really shows the promise of what's underneath the skin. If you talk about what is underneath the skin, one of the exciting things is the new chassis. The new chassis has interactive vehicle dynamics. It also has a new independent rear wheel suspension. And then I would say the other thing that the car has that's very special is a lot of room, outstanding people package. When you talk about what is the character of the Ford brand, the style, the driving dynamics, and the outstanding people package are where we want to concentrate, and I think we've done an excellent job of portraying that in the new Focus.
The new Ford Focus certainly has a longer wheelbase than the old Escort and a higher roofline, which together provide a very spacious interior. Highly sophisticated software helped Ford achieve a package incorporating greatly increased body shell rigidity and crash performance, while at the same time actually reducing the overall weight of the car. All the petrol engines, apart from the 1.4-litre Zetec SE, which is built in Valencia, will be built at Bridgend in South Wales, and the new 1.8-litre Enduro Di will be produced at Dagenham. The new stiffer chassis of the Ford Focus shouldn't just improve crash worthiness, we're also promised minimal noise, vibration and harshness, and also it will provide a rigid platform around which the suspension and steering systems will be calibrated.
The driving dynamics are quite spectacular because of the attention to detail. But what we're most proud of is the fact that we've taken it to a higher plane of driving dynamics. Typically in the industry, when people talk about a vehicle and dynamics, they talk about things like ride, handling, and steering. All of those are superb on the Ford Focus, but we've added to that a harmony with all of the switch gear, the gear change, the clutch, such that the comfort and the refinement of those elements come together with the driving experience to really provide a sensational drive.
The new Ford Focus has all-round independent suspension, and at the rear there's a new, fully independent control blade multi-link rear suspension, which is designed to give extra stability, particularly in extreme cornering or heavy braking situations. This will be available on all the Focus range.
For body styles, we have 3- and 5-door hatchbacks. We have a distinctive 4-door sedan, and we have a spacious wagon. All of those are available with all powertrain derivatives. Within the powertrains, we have 1.4, 1.6, 1.8 and 2-litre 16-valve gasoline engines. We also have a brand new direct injection 90 horsepower diesel engine, and they are matched to manual transmissions, 5-speed manual transmissions, and an all-new fully electronic 4-speed automatic transmission. I would describe the powertrains as evolutionary because they're already technically advanced, and we've evolved them into the Focus into a class-leading position for both fuel economy and meeting the most stringent European emission legislation. What's really revolutionary about the Focus is the way that all of these class-leading attributes are combined together in one vehicle to deliver a total package that we believe is, as we call it, a step beyond what's available in today's C-Class.
Well, Motor Week will be among the first to drive the new Ford Focus soon, when prices of this new addition to the Ford New Edge collection will be announced. Keep watching for details.
Do you know what? I feel like I've got a hot date with Claudia Schiffer, and I've taken her to the library, because today I'm not going to be talking about the Lancia K, the beautiful Mercedes CLK, the Peugeot 406 here. No, I've come all the way to the Vallelunga near Rome in Italy to talk about the tyres. Now, you might need reminding that the tyres are the black round things at the corner of the cars. We tend not to think about them unless they go flat or something called the tread wears out. Tyres are a bit boring. But not these. These have personality. They can rub shoulders with NASA's space shuttle because both were designed on a Cray supercomputer. The new Rally 540 replaces its predecessor, the 440, claiming a full 7% improvement in performance. It's designed as a high-performance summer rain tyre for speeds up to 168 miles an hour. Uniroyal say that it's suitable for most popular car makes, but what's new about it, and why should it create any excitement in rubber world? First of all, the contour of the tyre. The belt and tread have a much flatter profile than conventional tyres. This makes for more even distribution of ground pressure, which means the tyres should last longer than their previous lot by up to 20%, say Uniroyal. There's a new silica compound in the rubber itself, which is designed to bring all sorts of benefits. Less rolling resistance, which they say can save up to 5% on fuel, and an increased grip in the wet, which makes for shorter braking distances.
Let's see if I can get a squeal out of these babies. This is the hairpin bend, the 180, here we go. Stableford comes into it, and very cautious indeed around there. Now in last position. Well, the tyres seem perfectly fine to me, but then what do I know? I'm not an expert, but I know a man who is. This is a lot more like it. I'm now being driven by Connie Reinders, who's been a test driver for 25 years and claims to know what he's doing. Listen to those tyres complaining, but they're absolutely steady. Very good grip.
Thanks, Connie, that was fabulous. Well, that concludes the dry test area. The tyres performed extremely well. I nearly lost my lunch. We're now going over to the wet test area to compare these tyres with others in a wet situation. And hopefully it won't be quite as tortuous as that one. Just how new is the idea of directional treads?
About 10 years. Developed initially for high-performance motor vehicles, the directional tread pattern found to be very efficient at high speeds for clearing water. What we want to do now is to bring this to the family car, and we have done this through the range of Uniroyal rain tyres.
Where do you think the future of tyre technology might lead us?
Well, as far as we're concerned, we are already looking into the development of automotive systems where we include the tyre. We don't provide a tyre just to the manufacturer, we provide a fitted unit, something which may be moving towards the suspension of the vehicle, and even to the point of having indications on the inside of the vehicle about what the tyre is doing all of the time.
Now, when I'm driving around here on this wet surface, what should I be noticing about the difference in the tyres?
What you should be noticing is how you feel about driving, because really that's what it's about. You're the person behind the wheel, it's your confidence, and what you should feel, maybe you feel a little less twitching now, but you know that a company has put a lot of effort into producing a tyre specifically for where you're driving it.
Now, all the cars out here on the wet test track are identical VW Golfs. Okay, they're different colours, but they're also driving on different manufacturers' tyres. For instance, this VW is on a set of Michelins. Perhaps only the experts can really tell the difference, but they're all doing a fine job in my opinion. If you're sporting a set of 440s at the moment and feel a change might be on the cards, Uniroyal would like you to know that all this extra innovation and technology costs you absolutely nothing. Well, apart from the price of a new set of 540s, pegged at the cost of the 440s, about £45 a tyre. Well, no matter what me and my journalistic pals think of the 540 tyres here in Italy, I suspect they'll do rather well in China. That's because the last series, the 440s, caused a few headaches there. You see, the number 4 signifies death in China, so the 440s literally meant double death. Well, now as it happens, the number 5 cancels out the 4, so the 540 in China will mean not dead. There you are. It's amazing what you can learn on this programme.